Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw. I'm here in Liverpool, England, with a familiar face, if you've been watching our videos, Paul Tickner, our Britain Insider columnist, and also who heads up Custom GB, which creates amazing itineraries here all around England. And we're going to talk a little bit today about an itinerary he developed for me to really explore the north of England, and especially York, Manchester, and Liverpool, and all around this one. And we're going to talk about that and more on Insider Travel Report. Paul, first of all, thank you very much for setting up this itinerary. And it was just an amazing. So far, it's been amazing. We get one more day in, actually. And first of all, let's talk about it. The opening of it was it's really so quick to get here, using Manchester as a gateway. In fact, it was little over 5 hours from JFK to Manchester, and as you've pointed out many times in your columns, once you get to Manchester, it's really only 10 minutes to go from airside to curbside. And there I was. In fact, I beat you. You were a few minutes late, or I was a few minutes early. I don't know what it was, but I had a nice coffee, and all of a sudden you turned up, right?
I like to try and be on time when I can, but I'm afraid even you outmaneuvered me on that one. I think it's certainly through the Manchester Gateway, access is quick. I think you were exceptionally quick on this occasion, but having had a transatlantic flight and to be able to get through immigration, clear your luggage, and to be curbside within about 30 minutes is a real plus.
Yeah, well, that was it, and then we were off. And the first place we went was really the home of China, Wedgwood. And talk about why you selected that, because it was really only 30 minutes away from the airport. Right?
It's chosen really because it's using brand names that people answering the question, why should I fly to Manchester? We didn't get to Wales on this occasion, but that's just across to the west. But Wedgwood is a name which most people know. They're familiar with it. They might have even been to Wedgwood in years gone by as they've gone up and down the motorway on a Globus or a TAUC tour. But what Wedgwood have done is invested in a most extraordinary and very high quality visitor experience with hands-on opportunities. The idea of being able to go to Wedgwood and throw your own pot, create your own decorated piece of china is quite something. But it is really the starting point for a bigger experience, because Stoke-on-Trent is the world capital of ceramics. So other names like Royal Doulton, Spode, Minton, Portmeirion, things which travel agents will recognise by name, their customers will certainly recognise them by name. So flying to Manchester and going to Wedgwood makes a very straightforward equation.
Yeah, and then next up was one of the great stately homes of England, Chatsworth. Why did you select that one?
Principally because I think it's one of the finest, if not the finest, stately home in the north of England. We have others, Harewood House, we have Castle Howard, just to the north of York. They are spectacular, as is Chatsworth. But I think Chatsworth steals the show because of its extraordinary art collection. The gardens are spectacular too. But it also is the home of the annual Royal Horticultural Society Flower Show. The Royal Horticultural Society are behind Chelsea, behind Hampton Court. So there's another stamp of excellence, if you like. It's not just an RHS flower show, whatever that might be. It is one of the finest in the country. So Chatsworth is a must-see for gardeners if they're travelling in June. In July, just a little bit across to the west, there's another Royal Horticultural Society. That's quite a difficult thing to say in a hurry, isn't it? Another RHS flower show at Tatton Park. Right. So garden lovers, the green-fingered clients that travel agents have, it ticks that box in a very big way too.
Well, then the other thing about Chatsworth is there's incredible guides, and we had a wonderful guide, Judith, who took us all around, and the passion that she showed for what she was offering to us was amazing.
Yeah, and I think that makes it for a tour. If you a lot of these places have scheduled tours. You fetch up and at 10 o'clock there's something, at midday there's, I think Wedgwood have 2 of those tours each day, and you can guarantee that the quality of what you're going to get is top class, and that just brings the whole experience to life.
And then, of course, we went back. We finally got to the hotel. We got to the Grand, which is really the 5-star hotel in York. and it's a lovely hotel. It's old headquarters of the railway there, and I've been there. We've both been there before, and but you got a chance to be in the new wing because they've just built a whole new wing with more than 100 rooms, I believe.
Yeah, it's now a very large five-star hotel, and the quality of service there is, again, outstanding. From meeting Daniel on the door as the concierge, taking you in. We literally stepped through the door, and somebody called Hester, who's front of house, pounced on us and got us sorted with our...
She was insistent. I'm here to serve, and that was...
Yes, she certainly made her point, and delivered. And that was a theme that ran through the hotel.
Yeah. And so then we had lovely dinner there at the hotel restaurant, and the next morning we were ready to hit York, right?
We were, and again we picked up a slightly different theme. They've just invested a large sum of money in a very good cookery school, and we enjoyed a cookery demonstration there. We're not trying to compete with culinary tours to France and Spain and Italy. That's on a different league altogether, but there are customers out there that travel agents have access to who would like to know that they could spend a half day doing a cookery school. We went to the Mansion House, which is where the mayors of York live, and unexpectedly we had cookery demonstration of 18th century cooking.
Yeah, so we had modern cooking and 18th century cooking all in one day. I think we had a lot of cooking there.
I did, and the other thing which we didn't slip in was to the north of York. There's a market town called Malton, which is the food capital of Yorkshire. And they do a very good taste and sample sip tour where you drink gin, you drink spirits, all sorts of things, but you eat artisan food as you go around this 2 or 3 hour tour. So if you look at the spa facilities that the hotel has, you look at the cookery theme, travel agents who want to be creative and a bit more imaginative and offer their customers something which really strikes a chord, these are small dishes, if you like, which can be offered and give top-class satisfaction.
Yeah, well, actually, that cookery school was amazing. Mansion House was amazing. The cookery school actually is led by a guy named Andrew Dixon, who we have another video on coming up, and he was just really engaging and actually helped me a little in terms of understanding how to cook meat better, and also that actually salt isn't a bad thing sometimes. So we had a wonderful time there to see, then go into the 18th century and see that. And then we closed out the day in a very unusual fashion. We got a kind of spooky tour of York from a woman named Mad Alice, right?
Yes. And I think I've done quite a lot of those sorts of tours, and sometimes they can be really pretty naff. But she was very professional, very entertaining. I loved the way she engaged with the group. So that is something I could strongly recommend, first-hand experience, yes.
So that was closed out our time in York. It was an amazing time. And then we took one of the M1s, or what was it, M6?
M1, M6.
I lose my M's here. But we went and we came here to Liverpool for kind of an incredible day of, believe it or not, new attractions related to the Beatles. And let's talk a little bit about it. First up was Strawberry Field. Yeah. Song says Strawberry Fields. The place is actually called Strawberry Field. Talk a little bit about why you selected that, because it's brand new, right?
Well, there are a couple of new things, and we saw both of them. The Strawberry Field was one that's opened literally in the past 4 to 6 weeks, but it is very close to where John Lennon lived. And as a lad, he climbed over the gates and played with the kids who were at the orphanage at Strawberry Field. And I'm still trying to quite grasp. It's a very different aspect of the Beatles. The Beatles story is excellent, and other Beatles attractions have got that sort of feel to it, which you can immediately identify. But this one is reflective. It requires serious thought. It sort of reflects the seriousness of John Lennon rather than just his musical skills.
It was a meditative, because they have a little exhibit that's interactive, very interactive, telling about the story of a little bit about the Beatles and the Salvation Army, which actually runs the place. And it really is amazing that. And then you go outside into the gardens, and there you have all these little quotes from songs that Lennon wrote, and you can spend a really nice afternoon just relaxing and kind of thinking about things.
Yeah, and it's quiet. There's no sounds of aircraft, no sounds of traffic. It really is a peaceful experience, and I think you can get into it by actually going by following the advice that you're given, which is slow down, sit, reflect, meditate, because there was a lot to that man.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we went sort of in the opposite direction. We went to a fairly new museum. It's a year old, and it's a guy we both met before named Rogue Best. Who is Rogue Best? Well, he's the brother of Pete Best, and if you are a Beatles fan, you know Pete Best was the original drummer of the Beatles, who left or was basically told to leave. So Rogue grew up with his brother, and then his father was actually sort of the head of all the roadies and also head of Apple Records. So he is immersed in Beatles, and what he has done is put together this fabulous 4-story collection of Beatles memorabilia, and we got a personal tour from him, right?
Yes, and again, it illustrates the individual passion that people have. We had that when we went to Strawberry Field and the people we met there, and certainly Rogue, as a presenter, he's exceptional with his very clear diction, but with a Scouse Liverpool accent. But he grew up with all of this, and the collection that he's amassed there and the way he's classified it by certain year categories is the story unfolds in a very interesting way, and it just requires a bit more thought, but the reward you get from following it and reading some very well presented captions gives you another insight into the Beatles which you don't get anywhere else. Yeah. And if you're fortunate enough, and this is something we can do, if there's a small group of people, I can organise a tour where Rogue will take the people around. It just needs...
And that's key. I mean, honestly, it is come to life, and he is such an amazing guy, and we have another video with him that you'll see. Now, and then we finally end up here, where we're at the Titanic Hotel, really in the old dockyards of Liverpool, which is really an amazing structure and really is one of the nicest sort of, it's four-star plus, as they say, places to stay. It's a little off the beaten path, but it's quiet and really. And why Titanic? Because actually the ship was registered in Liverpool, if you want to know that. So this has been a marvelous experience as well.
And rooms, which people often say, oh, European and British rooms tend to be small. Well, I think you could have fitted 4 or 5 rooms into the rooms that we had.
We did.
They are huge and very well appointed. And one of the things which I really appreciate, because I have a real thing about it, a lot of hotels claim to have comfortable beds. They tick that box here. Others claim to have comfortable beds, but you find yourself waking up feeling uncomfortable and unrested. But last night, it was a very comfortable experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then we had a lovely dinner here at the Stanley restaurant. And it was a very English fare, but top of line. And I got my sticky toffee pudding, so I'm fine. So this has been a marvelous trip. I have one more day to go in Manchester, but we wanted to sort of tick all the boxes here about what we saw. Anything else you'd like to say about this particular program you devised?
Other than the fact that it was just an illustration of what can be done. There are so many different possibilities. But very briefly, Manchester is an excellent gateway for a 3-country tour, arriving Manchester first 2 nights in Chester, which is in England, the next 2 nights in a fine hotel in North Wales, and then taking one of the fast ferries to Dublin. You could do it in reverse, fly into Dublin, spend some time in Ireland, visit North Wales, spend some time in England, in Chester, and then fly home, or go north through the Lake District to Scotland, or turn south through Wedgwood to Shakespeare Country, Royal Shakespeare Theatre and the rest, the Cotswolds, Oxford and London. So it's a wonderful springboard for adventurous tours, but it's in the hands of the travel agent, the travel advisor, to make this happen. They can do the ordinary and straightforward, but if they look at the potential of what Manchester has to offer as a city, it's got a terrific appeal as a base. Within a very short distance, there's a multiplicity of things to do. Or you could look, as I say, as Manchester, North Wales, Ireland, Manchester, Lake District, Scotland, and so on. So it's London doesn't rule the roost entirely. I think for first, second and third time visitors, London is a must and they have to go there. But a lot of travel advisors have access to clients who've been to Britain before who might say, that's bang on, we'd love to fly to Manchester, ease of access and visit places which we've not seen properly before.
Yeah, well, and I do have to give a nod to Virgin Atlantic Airways, which got me over here, and actually I get a little upgrade, premium, and then upper class, which was unexpected, and I'm set to go back premium in a couple days, tomorrow actually. Paul, it's been a great trip. Always fun to travel with you and talk about the world and talk about England and talk about these wonderful places in the north of England that we can visit. Thanks again.
My pleasure. Looking forward to doing another one if you can spare the time.
Absolutely, another time. We got to set that date. I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.